Hey guys, it's Heather. Thank you so much for being here. I get asked a lot why I chose to live in a bus, why I wanted to live in a bus, why I didn't just buy a house in a lesser expensive area. And truly the real question always becomes why I'm choosing to live tiny. So in this video, over the next couple minutes, I'm going to share with you the reasons why I chose tiny living. Thank you so much. So the reason that I've chosen to live tiny is actually a combination of reasons. And the first is that I've been able to travel a lot in my life, both in the USA and internationally. And even though it's been hard sometimes, I've come out a better person on the other end for it. And then the second reason is that I live in San Francisco. It is now the most expensive city in the entire country. And quite frankly, I'm just going to get priced out of this city. A lot of people I know have, and that's going to be a reality for me. I work at Starbucks. I don't work for Google or some, tech company. I don't pull down six figures. So retiring here is absolutely unrealistic, and living here is getting difficult. It used to be that you'd pay out the nose for rent, but there's all this other great stuff that went along with it, and it kind of leveled out. But all that other great stuff now is also just catching up to the cost of rent, and the whole cost of living is just skyrocketed. So for me, the combination of those two things really prompted me to start looking at tiny living as a realistic possibility for me. I mean, could I do it? Would I do it? The other thing I love about tiny living, and you hear me call it tiny living because it's actually more than just living in a tiny space. Tiny living feels to me like an extension of the vintage Burning Man ethos. And what I mean by that is that I went to Burning Man in the 80s, and it was a very much different ballgame than it is today. It was not the commercialized tech fest that it is now. And sustainable living and radical inclusion were central pillars to that community. And it's a community that I still have affinity to. And there are so many things I loved about that community. So tiny living allows you potentially to really live your life on your terms. So when I really started considering tiny living as a viable option for me to really think about it, I am a Virgo, so I made a list, a pro-con list. And if you're thinking of tiny living, you'll want to make a list too that fits you and your life. I am over 50. My son is 30 years old. He's grown up. I don't have any debts. I have, no bills. I'm very free. So how do I want to live this next chapter of my life? I mean, really, that's the question. How do I create the life that has purpose and value for me? And tiny living definitely fits into that whole idea of travel, of financial freedom, of having a very minimalist footprint on the environment, which is something I've always believed in and tried to practice. So you need to make a list as well, who you are, what's important, and what you'll be really surprised about is to find out the things that are really important to you and the things that you thought were important that maybe aren't as much. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I would love to hear from you. Please drop any comments, suggestions, questions, thoughts, your own experiences in the comments below. And if you dig this journey, then please subscribe. So join me next week when I share what tiny option I chose and why.